Happy Tuesday, Sipsters. Welcome back to the Sippin' on Stories podcast. I'm Mandy Corey, your host, and I'm so delighted that you're here for another episode. Our episode today, I was able to reconnect with a very old friend who I knew back in the third grade named Heidi, and she told me her story or journey, if you will, of having her little girl and everything that entailed. And I'm just telling you now that she is such a strong woman and mother. I did just want to add a couple of trigger warnings. We do talk about fertility struggles and pregnancy complications. There's a little bit of talk of abortions and NICU experiences. So I just wanted to throw in that little trigger warning. So here is Heidi for today's story.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Good.
Heidi, I'm going to start by asking you what your favorite drink is.
Excellent. I have been thinking about this all week. So my ADHD makes it so that I'm a drink goblin, and I always have at least 4 drinks out at a time. And then it's also picking a favorite feels debilitating to me.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is so silly because when people ask you what your favorite color is, they're not you can never change your answer, right? It's just a get to know you thing. So anyways, I have narrowed it down to, I know a lot of other people who've been on your podcast have talked about what their orders are at Pick Me Up or the, dirty soda or whatever. So, I had gastric bypass surgery, and so, I am bad and I do soda sometimes, but, when I'm not doing a Coke Zero or something, I get blue Powerade as the base, and then I add coconut and pineapple.
Oh, yum.
And it is like a vacation in a cup.
Oh, yeah.
And then for my hot drink, I love a dirty chai. And then as far as alcohol goes, I'm always good for a whiskey sour. That's my jam. So I narrowed it down.
Good job. I'm 3 very different things all have their own time that you're going to have it. So I think that's great. Okay. So Heidi, I'm just going to let you start where you'd like and we'll just go from there.
Okay, cool. So I think it would be fair to just kind of have a trigger warning.
Okay, yeah.
So my kid is alive and well. However, we weren't always sure. And so I'm going to be talking about kind of her survival chances and kind of some medical stuff. And so, I could see that would be maybe triggering to some people. Just kind of fair warning.
Yeah, I think that's, good.
So I kind of want to start this story by saying that, I know I just told you that picking things is really difficult for me. Even picking what I've wanted to do with my life or, even just what outfit I want to wear. There's some times where I'll change clothes 4 times a day because I'm just, that's just how my brain is and how just fast it goes. But I've always known that I wanted to be a mom. It's never been a question of if, it's been a question of when. And so, my story kind of starts out with fertility troubles. So, Josh and I had been trying to get pregnant. When would that have been? I'd say probably 3 or 4 years into our marriage. And I had never had a regular period, like, since I started. But I just kind of, like, thought that that was normal and, like, no big deal. Especially because I would get, like, 4 periods a year, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd be, like, 3 days, super light and easy, just, like, the dream,
It
right?
sounds
So,
really nice as like a teenager when you're like, this sucks. I don't want this. Like, sounds great
mhm.
then.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I never had any cramping, like, just really super easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so anytime I would go into the doctor and they would, like, ask, when was the last day of your menstrual cycle, blah, blah, blah. I would literally not know what to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, well, I mean, I just don't have them very often and they're not consistent. And I didn't know to track it that time. I didn't really understand what that was about, right?
Yeah. I also feel like when you're a teenager, we have like our health classes or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not like they really give you a good understanding of like what's normal, what's not normal. I don't know. It's just kind of like this is what the human body does and it should be that way for everybody, and then that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and especially, growing up too in such, like, a conservative area where it's already, like, taboo for schools to even
Talk about it
mention
in
something like
general.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I just didn't have a good understanding, or, like, it didn't raise any red flags, right?
Yeah.
And so I ended up moving to Australia with Josh, my husband. Um, he was doing his master's degree over there, and it was, like, his dream. And I was like, we don't have a kid or anything, so, like, now's
Let's
as good a
go.
time as any to, make it happen. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
And so while we were there, we were on a student visa, and they actually have like, universal health care over there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to my doctor and was kind of talking to them about my symptoms and what I was going through. At that time, I was, like, over 300 pounds, like 310 pounds ish.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm 5'4", so, like, it was big.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting so frustrated because I was doing, like, a keto diet, and my work was, like, 7 miles to my work and then 7 miles back home. And I would be riding my bike. Like, I was a lot more active.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, after 3 months of doing keto and losing 30 pounds, for the next 4 months, I didn't lose a pound, lose an inch,
It's
any
like
of it.
what's going on here?
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was super just demotivating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, I'm eating like a freaking bird. And
Yeah.
I'm like, putting in all of this effort and really not seeing anything. So I
Mm-hmm.
was talking to my doctor, and she goes, you have, let's say 6 out of 10 markers for PCOS. Have you ever been tested for it before? So I was like, yeah, my hormones always come back normal. And so it's just, I've been tested multiple times and we can't find anything. And they go, well, because you're meeting these criteria, we can just do an ultrasound on your ovaries and, like, just see.
Mm-hmm.
So they did an ultrasound, and your girl has PCOS, like, pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
And so now finally all these kind of symptoms are, like, making sense to me. But then it's also like this thing of, well, crap, like, PCOS really affects your ability to ovulate.
Mm-hmm.
And, because we had been trying, I had been learning about, like, trackle cycling.
Trackles.
Yes. Cycle tracking. And so, yeah, it was just kind of like, oh, shoot,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how we're going to do this. So, basically, we tried for another couple of years. When we came back to the States, I decided that my kind of last ditch effort before looking into surrogacy or adoption or whatever was going to be that I was going to get bypass surgery. So, I went to Mexico because I couldn't afford it in the States.
Yeah, what's the price difference for that?
Oh my gosh, like crazy, crazy cake. So like I think all together for my surgery it was like $8,000 in Mexico. And in the States it's like, so my insurance wouldn't cover it because I wasn't fat enough or something, I guess. And so it would have all been out of pocket and it would have been, you know, a good $30,000. Like it's just
a big difference.
Wild, like very inaccessible. But my sister, she is a nurse and she had gastric bypass done before I did. And so she had put in all this research to like look for this place. And then she went and had her surgery done. And so by the time I had decided to do it, I was like, hey, you know, if it's good enough for my sister, because like she is a lot more intense about things like that. Like I definitely should be. But it was like I trusted her.
Yeah,
that
like it was good for her, it'll be good for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyways, after I got surgery, it was really serendipitous because my gallbladder like pretty much instantly went bad. What ended up happening was that I was just super, super sick. I couldn't keep any liquid down, like water, any kind of food, anything. I couldn't keep anything down. I was so nauseous and like I couldn't vomit anymore. So I was just dry heaving like pretty much 24/7.
Man, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, it was. And my husband was working nights. And so it was like he would work nights and then during the day have to be taking me to hospitals and like doctor's appointments to try to even figure out what was going on with me. So like that poor man, he was so tired. And so after 2 months, when I am just like not like even a person, right? Like I was having to get fluid injections just to keep myself hydrated. And so I went and saw a GI doctor finally, and because I had done the, you know, the test where you like drink the dye or whatever. And I asked them because it's like something like 40% of people like have gallbladder issues afterwards. And so, you know, I was like, hey, will you be able to like check my gallbladder with this test? Because I know that that's something that's like pretty common. And they're like, yeah. So, anyways, they didn't find anything. I literally left the emergency department with a diagnosis of nausea. And I almost lost it.
Yeah.
I was like, friends, that is the symptom I came in with. Not a diagnosis.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah.
Anyways, so we found out I needed to get my gallbladder removed like 2 months later with an ultrasound. I was like,
could they not have done that?
Oh, for sure they could have done that. And they probably should have.
Yeah.
And so then so the doctor said once her gallbladder is out, she's going to feel better pretty much instantly. Like you guys are going to be able to go home tonight. Like it's not even an overnight stay, right? Yeah. And so we're like, great. I get the surgery done and like I am still just not okay. And so my mom and my husband took me back to the emergency department and just said, she's not leaving here until like she's better. Like she is not better. We need to figure out what's going on. And so I was admitted into the hospital, and I think it was on August. Wow, that's actually the anniversary is like tomorrow.
That's crazy.
Like August 1st, I got admitted into the hospital, and I have zero memories until August 16th.
Oh.
And the funny thing is, when I finally like came to, all these doctors and nurses were like, "Oh, Heidi, you look so much better." And they're talking to me like they know me.
And you're like,
And
I
like,
have no idea who you are.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like literally if someone held a gun to my head and was like, "Have you met this person before?" I'd be like, "No." Like I have no idea who that person is. And so what's really fortuitous about this is that I met Dr. Vanesky during this time, because when you're nauseous as a woman, everyone thinks you're pregnant.
Yep.
And even when you have negative pregnancy tests, people won't drop it. So, Dr. Vanesky was a OBGYN, and I guess he came to make sure that I wasn't pregnant, for sure. And so him and I really hit it off, and I started going to see him. I was talking to him about my fertility issues.
Did they find out what was wrong during that 2-week time frame, or was it just all of a sudden you started feeling better?
So I just started feeling better.
Okay, so you start going to him for your OB.
Yeah, and I'm talking to him about like we're trying to have a kid and just all this good stuff. And he's talking about, all right, well, like we can do IVF intervention, like if need be. So, and at this point, I'm still like losing weight from my surgery. And so I kind of had a goal of like, we weren't going to try again until I had lost 100 pounds. So that like I could see if it helped with my ovulation, right?
Yeah.
So I got surgery done in May of 2019. And then May of 2020, I found out that I was pregnant.
Quite the time to find out that you're pregnant.
Yes. And so
Did you do IVF or was it natural?
Nope. It was natural. So
that's great.
I think we started trying in February, I want to say, is when I like hit my 100-pound goal or whatever.
Yeah. And so it happened pretty quickly after that.
Yeah. So it was like, and fortunately, like with my fertility struggles, like I never had any miscarriages or anything. Like I know a lot of people go through that. I just couldn't get pregnant. Right. So I am like in just disbelief and trying to keep my composure about it, because I know like we got to give this a little bit of time. And up until this point, just kind of like seeing negative after negative after negative after negative. And then just kind of having a history of like a poor relationship with my body. Like it was really hard mentally.
To trust your body to carry through with the pregnancy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I wanted to tell Josh because I was like, even if we don't keep, the pregnancy or whatever, like this is as far as we've ever gotten, but we were both really excited. So, and I'm super sorry. I'm not like a long story short kind of gal.
Oh.
And so
I'm a short story long kind of gal, so
I'm over here like, oh man, I hope I'm not just like droning on. So I get pregnant. I'm super stoked. So, everything's going as, expected. I'm just getting used to being pregnant and all the changes that come with that. And, Josh and I decided that we didn't want to know the sex of our baby. It didn't matter. Which is so funny because before I got pregnant, I was like, I can't not know.
Yeah.
Like, I literally cannot not know. And I think just all that we had gone through to get to that point,
Like it
I just
legitimately doesn't matter.
Yeah. I was just so thrilled and so, honored to even be pregnant that I couldn't have cared less. And so typically, if you want to know the sex of your baby, you have to wait until like 20 weeks for the 20-week ultrasound. And so because Josh and I didn't want to know, we wanted to go in for the ultrasound a little bit early. So we actually went in at 17 weeks. And the whole idea was, the baby really starts moving at that point. And like, the last time that we had went, the baby was like doing flips and being super cute. And I was like, oh, I want that like on video so bad. And so that was kind of like the plan, right? So this is where things get real. So at 17 weeks, we go in for the ultrasound. And I just remember looking up at the monitor. And you know how like you can see when they type things like on the ultrasound, like what they're looking at?
Yeah. Sometimes you don't know what they're typing, but you can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I could see on the ultrasound screen, like she would write notes off on the side. And I just kept seeing diaphragm. And I was like, we had gone in for ultrasounds before. And some techs like to look at like little feet and some like to look at their little faces. And, I think that techs have like their kind of, it's almost like being a photographer, right? Like you kind of have your aesthetic, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't figure out how I was wanting to pictures. And she's like, here's the diaphragm. I'm like, okay. And I just remember thinking, wow, this is taking a lot longer than I thought. The room was pretty silent. And, I'm like my number one gaslighter. Heidi, you're being so crazy.
Me too.
Like, you just like chill. You're always trying to make a mountain out of a molehill kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it just, something felt weird. And so after she got the ultrasound done, and, we had the appointment with Dr. Vanesky, which is who I met through the hospital with my gallbladder. He sat us down and he said, hey, so on this ultrasound, it's looking like your child is missing part of their diaphragm. And this is a condition called CDH. And he said, congenital diaphragmatic hernia. And I just remember thinking, hernia. Like, people get hernias all the time. Like,
it's a pretty common surgery people do. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like trying to match what I know with the intensity of this conversation, right? So he goes on to explain that due to the hole in her diaphragm, her stomach organs are crowding into her chest cavity, which is pushing on her heart and lungs, which is basically impeding the development of the heart and lungs, which, as you can imagine, is not ideal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a really surreal moment. He kept talking to us about kind of what it may or may not look like, and that there's different levels of severity, and that basically we just have to kind of wait and see. And then, like, I was also offered that I could terminate my pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And I had always felt like, you know, abortion is never something that I would choose for
Yeah.
myself. But I've never been one to think that I could make that choice for another person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it, it and it's just so different to have an opinion on it outside of that context,
Yeah.
right?
Until you're actually living in a situation where they're like, do you want to do this?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And especially because you know, I think that, like, growing up, my family is all very conservative. And so I always had this kind of storyline of, like, people get abortions because they're not on birth control or because they don't want to deal with the consequences of having sex or, like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really confronting that it was like, I'm having to consider this with a child that I have wanted and just yearned for
Mm-hmm.
so
And worked so hard to get.
long.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I mean, that really broke me. But also just gave me a really, like, strong kind of sense of, you know, I do think that that's why it's so important for that kind of thing to be between a woman and her doctor, because you don't know what someone's circumstances are, or and it just, you know, anyways. So we cried about it.
Of
we
course.
uh he said, I'll let you guys kind of, like, you know, take your time, you can leave when you're ready. um but it was just like, and, you know, being pregnant, like, you're already emotional anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so I, I was wailing. Like, I couldn't quite wrap my head around it. And my husband is much more, like, analytical. So, of course, his kind of, I don't know, action that he wanted to take was he's going to research the crap out of it,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
he's a scientist, and numbers and figures, and that's all, like, what he wants to know. But, like, I'm looking at it and, like, the optics aren't good.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I can't do this to myself. I just have to listen to what my body is saying and just hope that we get to be one of the lucky ones.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the next day I went to the maternal fetal medicine doctor, and he confirmed the diagnosis. I had to get, uh, is it called, I think it's like an amniocentesis.
Oh, that sounds right.
Put a big old needle in your belly and take a sample of the amniotic fluid, because in order for any kind of intervention to possibly help my kid, um, there were certain, like, genetic uh, markers that they were looking for if there was any kind of, like, Down syndrome, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so if there were any chromosomal abnormalities, that's considered like a fatal, like, condition, and so then they won't treat the CDH.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was that was rough.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I can't
Really,
imagine.
really rough. So the interesting thing is, it was made very clear to me. Dr. Vanesky said, hey, like, because of this, I can't deliver your baby. And not only that, but there's not a hospital in Idaho that's equipped to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
So your closest bet is Primary Children's, but there are a few specialty hospitals and across the country that have units specifically for kids with CDH. And he said, you know, I used to work at Texas Children's Hospital, and they are just incredible over there. And like, I can't speak to these other hospitals, but like, I worked there and it was amazing. And I was like, okay. So we were kind of looking at a couple different ones. Well, so then when I went to my MFM doctor, the maternal fetal medicine doctor, he also used to work at at Texas Children's Hospital. And come to find out, he was like a really big deal there. Like anytime that, like later when we were at Texas Children's, anytime that I would name drop him, it was like, yeah, give this girl the VIP treatment, you know?
Yeah.
So it was just really strange that both of these doctors that were involved in my care
Both
had
there.
worked with Texas Children
Mm-hmm.
and had such like great things to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we had decided that if we were able to be treated, that because Texas Children's was the only hospital that actually got back to us.
Oh, really?
So yeah, like I couldn't get into communication. There was one in California, one in Pennsylvania, and then the one in Texas, and I couldn't get a hold of the other two, like, to save my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but Texas was like calling me, checking on me, like it
Clearly
was
sounds like the right place to be.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It was, I mean, I think the only thing that could have made it more obvious would be like neon signs. You know,
Heidi,
like
this way.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty clear. So let's see.
So did you move down there, or did you just go there for?
Yeah, so we actually ended up having to relocate to Texas, and I'll get into that in just a minute. The reason that I had to have that amniocentesis was to see if we could even be treated.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, like I said, we weren't concerned about the sex of the baby. And they called me one day to give me the results from that test, right? And I don't even remember how the girl said it, but she goes something about like, you know, aside from the CDH, you've got a, you know, typical baby girl or something like that.
You're like,
And
oh,
she totally
ruined that.
And yeah, and here's the thing is that I'm sure she was just excited,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And trying to give you some like positivity through this hard phone call that, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, like you know that feeling where like two things are true?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of hard to sit in.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, I am relieved, right? Because
everything else
okay,
good.
We can at least get treated.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, I'm like, it felt like the last thing that I had to be excited about.
Yeah. Especially when like it seems so unknown, scary unknown, but there's also something happy unknown. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then my husband wasn't even like by me when I got that phone call. And so I'm like, I'm going to have to not slip up.
Mm-hmm.
When we go to Texas, obviously we're going to have to say like, hey, we don't know the sex of the baby and we don't want to,
mm-hmm.
like to every person we talk to. So I just kind of had a talk with my husband, and I was like, hey, since I know, do you want me to tell you in a special way, or do you want to kind of like potentially maybe have it ruined?
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so he kind of sat on that and decided that I could tell him. So I got him a big ass cinnamon roll, and I had put her name, like I had laminated her name and had them like put it under the frosting.
Oh, that's cute.
And so, because Josh loves a cinnamon roll.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like seriously probably like 12-inch diameter. Like, it was a huge,
Those big ones, yeah.
it was like a pizza.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, we found out she was a girl. We had kind of like come up with names before. I mean, we had been trying for enough years that we had,
of course you've talked about
we
it.
had it. Yeah. And we had always just kind of come back to the name Coral. My husband is a marine biologist. That's what he has his degree in. He works as a locksmith now, but that's a whole other story. But he loves coral. And I actually met a little old lady who one of her dogs was like my regulars when I groomed dogs there. And her name was Coral. And I was like, you're so cute. Yeah. Like, and so, anyways, it was so weird because we were just driving, and I'll never forget, we were on the street by the Greenbelt. And Josh goes, you know, I've been playing this game, and one of the characters' name is Lilith. And I was like, that's pretty cool. He goes, yeah, and like she's like, you know, the goddess of the underworld, and like she's like this demon, and she's like so super cool, and I don't know. It usually when he talks about his video games, I'm just like, dude,
not interested.
You got the wrong audience here. But I don't know. There was just something about it that we just felt she needed like a strong kind of punchy fire name. And then we really liked elemental kind of names, like for middle names. So Coral, her middle name was going to be Reign, Reign.
It's cute.
But like also sounds like rain, right?
Yeah.
And so anyways, like going on with that, I was like, okay, well, like what would her middle name be? And so we talked about Ember or Flame, and then he's like, what about Fire? And I was like, Lilith Fire. Yeah, I like that.
That's really cool.
So that was kind of special because like before we went to Texas, like we had her named. And so it kind of, I think that helped us just kind of cope a little bit. And like he would talk to her in my belly, I would talk to her in my belly, and we'd always, you know, call her by name. So then we had to relocate to Texas. Now, mind you, this is 2020, right? So COVID is just
like in its height. Yeah.
So as I'm talking with Texas Children's, basically, I'm just trying to figure out what are our accommodations going to be like when we get there. Because certainly we're not going to be able to afford like a hotel. So I'm thinking maybe we'll take like my parents' camper and see if we can find any like hookups or like, I mean, we're just desperately seeking because the Ronald McDonald House did not have any openings. They were taking, you know, fewer families because of COVID.
Yeah.
And then, so I needed to go to Texas to see if I was eligible for this fetoscopic surgery. And basically what that is they put a balloon into the baby's trachea. And so when you're in the womb, when you're developing, obviously you're not breathing air.
Mm-hmm.
You have like, you know, the amniotic fluid that's circulating.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea is that when you occlude the trachea, all of that amniotic fluid that's in the lungs is basically going to provide back pressure and hopefully help the lung expand. And hopefully, if the lung expands, it's usable lung tissue,
Mm-hmm.
because it can expand and then not have like the appropriate capillaries and stuff. So it's useless tissue, right? So we drove to Texas, to Houston, which was bonkers. I think at this point it's September. So I'm like 5 months along.
Mm-hmm.
It's like not big, but not comfy.
Yeah,
Right?
you're uncomfortable at that point.
Uh, and not doing well mentally because on
Mm-hmm.
top of like just COVID, mental not good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also pregnant, mental not good.
Yeah, no, all the different things alone would be enough. Add them all together.
Yeah.
Well,
So, we go down and, you know, they check the severity. Her condition was severe enough that I did qualify for this procedure. However, they wanted her to meet like a certain growth like marker.
mm-hmm.
And so they said, okay, we're going to have you come back in 2 weeks. And I was like, what? Like we had packed up to like
Stay
move
there. Mm-hmm.
to Texas and we ended up coming right back home.
Oh man.
And then a couple weeks later, we went. I had the procedure done, and the doctor that I had was so. I mean, the staff there was incredible, but Dr. Belfort, he was the one that did the surgery. He gave me his personal contact information, like his cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he was like, "Okay, so." And what I didn't know was that after this surgery, I had to be within 30 minutes of the hospital at any time because if I went into labor, it was imperative that they get the balloon out of the trachea before the baby came because otherwise she can't breathe, right? And then I also had a bracelet that I had to wear that basically said that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then it was like a dog tag because it said like, basically if this lady goes into labor, find out a way to get her to Dr. Belfort. I was like, cool.
Yeah.
But like what I didn't realize about Houston is like the medical district is just like hospital after hospital after hospital. And they're like skyscrapers and like there's restaurants and hospitals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't know that.
So, yeah, to be 30 minutes from a hospital, you can be like 5 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think it was just literally days before we went back, the Ronald McDonald House called us and said, "Hey, we have an opening."
Oh, that's so nice.
And I was like, no way. Like, it was just, it was just another one of those things. Like, Heidi, right here.
This was meant to be. Like, this is where you're supposed to be. Mm-hmm.
So, we went and I got the surgery and it went well. I remember waking up from surgery and, having contractions because the surgery can like put you into labor, which is not great because I think at that point it was 26 weeks and it was not going to be viable if my body didn't stop. But you know, they have medicine and stuff to try to stop labor and that worked for me. But I just remember, and mind you, like I've had gastric bypass, right? So I'm very familiar with, like, my stomach was just operated on. Ow.
Yeah.
Freaking dude. I had a contraction. And I don't know if it just felt so severe because I was waking up from anesthesia. And so, like, maybe I had been having contractions before that I just
Didn't know.
wasn't feeling.
Yeah.
And so then it was like all of a sudden I was waking up and it felt like wildfire.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, everyone has their plans of how they're going to have birth and stuff. And I was like, I'm going to do it natural, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Like, oh, maybe not.
The ways in which I reconsidered.
Yeah.
I was like, women are so cool.
Oh my gosh, truly.
Like, and they do it like multiple, like they come
not
back
just
for
once.
more.
Yeah, they do it again.
Like, this isn't a deal breaker.
Mm-hmm.
Like, holy cow. So anyways, I just thought that was funny because I think that part of my trauma and like my healing process has just, it felt like every part of my pregnancy that I had planned or that I was looking forward to or that I had an expectation about, like every step of the way, it got dashed.
Changed. Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, at every turn when there was something that I could stick to in my original birth plan, I felt like I was even more kind of like snobby about it and just kind of like, I don't know, pig-headed about, no, that's what I want to do. And so, yeah, I just thought that was funny, but I did stop labor. And then now it's just a waiting game. So Josh and I went back to the Ronald McDonald House. We celebrated Halloween there. And like I said, Josh is really into the ocean, right? So anytime we go anywhere, like, is there an aquarium nearby? Like, he wants to see all the aquariums. So we go to the aquarium and like, we literally just like bought our tickets and I went to the bathroom and I was like, Josh, like, I think I just peed myself, but like, it didn't feel like I peed myself.
Yep.
But like,
classic breaking your water. Yeah.
Right. So, but it wasn't like a lot. And so again, just trying to gaslight myself. I knew that I didn't like what was happening. And I was trying to talk myself into that it wasn't a big deal. So I called Dr. Belfort's phone and I was like, hey, so we're at the aquarium and like, I don't know, it seems like it's more than just like discharge, but and I'm sorry, this is probably really gross
to
say on your podcast.
No.
So like, feel free to, I don't know.
They're just words. We're very used to those words. It just is what it is.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and here's the thing. You know, the business of having babies is just
no, it's not glamorous. No. And then you have, no, it's not.
Well, so I called him and I was just like, you know, I'm sure it's like not that big of a deal, but I just, you know, you said if anything were to seem off to like let you know. He's like, Heidi, I am so glad you called me. I need you to go here, here, and here. And I need you to go, they'll check your cervix. They'll see if your water's broke, like this whole thing, right? So I went and it turns out that I had like a pin fracture. I don't know, to my amniotic fluid, I guess. So basically, like how he explained it was, imagine you have a water balloon and you can either like pop the water balloon, right? Which like some women, when their water breaks, it's like a big pop.
Yeah.
And then other times it can just be like this little teeny hole. Yep, it's just a little leak. And so that's what had happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I was then admitted to the hospital. I was on bed rest. Let's see, that was just like literally the day after Halloween. So all of November, and she was born December 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, uh, I spent the holidays in the hospital. I couldn't stand up for more than 10 minutes at a time because the gravity would make it more likely that my water would just like fully just pop.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to keep the bun in the oven as long as possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And like, I guess usually on like the mother's ward or whatever, they have like clubs and meetings and like there's like a bunch of community, but it's COVID.
Yep.
So
Oh man. Yep.
I'm just staring at the same four walls all day, every day, pregnant as crap with this kid that I've been told probably won't live.
Mm-hmm.
And I am just like, and I will say, there's something about becoming a mother where you realize that every adult you've ever encountered is a total imposter. None of us know what we're doing.
No. Yep.
We're always looking for an adultier adult,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, they're asking me, like, decisions for my child medically that are literal life and death situations.
And you're like,
And
someone
I'm
tell
over
me
here
what to
like,
do.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
well, you seem to know what's going on,
Yeah.
you know? So, anyways, I don't know. That just kind of like hit me as so funny because I was just always looking for, like, surely there's someone else who knows better. Like, how can anyone expect me to be doing this?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So we do the month in the hospital room. I have pizza for my Thanksgiving dinner, which was really a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, though, my mother-in-law, her love language is baking. So she made me a bunch of peanut butter balls. So we always joke about that. There was supposed to be like a weight goal that we got to with her, because the chances of her needing ECMO, which is heart and lung bypass,
Yeah.
when she was born was really pretty high. But she had to be at least 4 pounds to be able to get onto that machine. And so when they were measuring her, like, she was still looking really small, and everyone was really worried that, like, she's not going to be big enough to even go on to ECMO, even though she's going to need it. And so we always joke that it was Kathy's peanut butter balls that,
Peanut
like,
butter balls. It got her there.
What ended up happening is I just went to the bathroom one morning and I noticed that there was blood in my urine, and I was like, shoot. So I talked to the nurse, they talked to the doctor, we do an ultrasound, and my placenta is coming away.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, okay, we need to emergently remove the balloon.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we're going to reverse engineer the first surgery, so that when baby comes, we're not having to worry about that. They said, basically, this is going to happen one of two ways. We remove the balloon and just wait for your body to go into labor naturally, which typically happens pretty quickly after that. Or if we have trouble getting the balloon out, we're going to have to do an emergency C-section.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, at this point, I'm like, well, I'm going to have a natural birth.
Of course, yeah.
Because I'm just, and I'm sorry to be like sporadic about this, because I kind of forgot to mention it. When we were being told the diagnosis when I was 17 weeks, our doctor had talked to us about ECMO, about the FIDO procedure, and about kind of like how in extreme cases, like that was what some kids had to have. And I don't know how to explain the feeling, because it wasn't like it wasn't like I was gaslighting myself, or like I was just expecting the worst and being like, oh yeah, of course that's what's going to happen to my baby, right? But when I heard about ECMO and when I heard about the fetal procedure, I got this weird kind of calm feeling, and not so much like a thought in words, but just like this impression that like that's what our journey is going to entail. And there were a couple of times during my pregnancy where I just kind of had, because it wasn't a good feeling, it wasn't a warm feeling, like I'm not having fun, right? But like when we talked about terminating the pregnancy, Josh and I were both very much on the same page of, we want to give this kid every chance that they can have. And I just remember like feeling in my body like this child doesn't feel like it's terminal, or that it's not going to make it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and so it was kind of cool, because it was like, I think really the first part of me ever in my life listening to my body and like recognizing intuition for what it was. And I got so many experiences while I was pregnant and while she was in the NICU, that then it kind of like turned into like with my relationship with food and like just kind of like my past traumas. I'm like, if I can be so in tune to my child and her body, like what makes me think that my body doesn't know what's going on with me? And so I think that it kind of gave me permission to like really actually start like trusting my body and believing it and like kind of appreciating that more, if that makes sense.
No, it totally does. Yeah.
So yeah. You know, spoiler alert, I did not have a natural childbirth.
You had a C-section.
Yeah. I had the emergency. And that's why I got off onto that, because as soon as they said emergency C-section, my body did the same thing. And I was like, I refuse. I refuse to believe that. But yes, that is how it went. And so, you know, I think that this is probably the part of the story that I struggle with the most, is that I wasn't awake. They had to put me under to do the C-section. I did not get to see her be born. I didn't even get to meet her until the next day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We didn't get to hold her for a month because she was on ECMO, and so she couldn't be moved. And they had my husband all suited up, but I guess things just went so fast that he didn't get to be in there.
Oh, he wasn't there for the C-section?
So he was suited up outside of the room,
but he
and
wasn't
I guess it just yeah. So he saw her, but it was like after they had her intubated and they're like rushing her to the NICU, and so he's like, "What's happening?" And they're like, "Snap a picture. We gotta go." Which, here's the thing, is hearing him talk about that, I wouldn't have traded in places for the world.
Yeah.
Like, part of me is glad that I didn't have to live through that trauma. But the other part of me feels like my child came into this world very alone. And as a mom, I just...
Obviously, that's hard.
And so, you know, hearing about people like chest to chest with their baby and like the first time that they latch and like because it's not that I don't want that for other people.
But that
It's
would
just
be
like I
really
want,
hard. Yeah.
yeah, I wanted that so bad for my family. Anyway, so that's like probably the hardest part is that I don't feel like I got to experience the whole process of birth. The good, the bad, the ugly, right? But it
Yeah.
stings.
Did part of you, like, after that, were you kind of grateful that you knew she was a girl before that as well? Because that would have been part of the, like, having her, finding out she was a girl, like, that wouldn't have been included either. Like, even for Josh, like,
Yeah.
like, it would have been hard for him too. So as you're saying that, I'm like, were you happy that you knew she was a girl too because of that? Like, that experience wasn't taken away either, you know?
Yeah. I think that at that point, because we had already been like talking to her and we'd already named her.
Yeah.
I had kind of worked through that a little bit, and kind of come to a little bit of closure with it because I mean it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I had never thought of that before. That like, yeah, of course that wouldn't be like an important piece of information. Like, I don't think anyone was gonna stop and be like, "Hey, that's a girl." Oh, so yeah, like I said, I had to recover from surgery and from the anesthesia. So Josh came back to my room that night and showed me pictures, and I was just, oh, well, picture.
Yeah. The
I was
snapshot picture
just,
that he grabbed.
yes. And actually, the really cool thing was, and I don't even remember this nurse's name or anything, but she like secretly snapped a picture and sent it to my phone.
Oh, that's nice.
Which like you totally can't do per HIPAA, right?
Yeah, taking
but
pictures of, yeah.
yeah, I had requested. I was like, if there's any chance, like, I just, I just want to see her. And so she sent me the picture, and I mean, that was just like, just a very like, I don't know, women supporting women kind of thing to do. Like, she's like, you're in an impossible situation, and I can do this
Make
one little thing to make it a little bit better. So let's do it. So yeah, we had her on December 3rd. She had her repair on her diaphragm. So basically they went in and put all her stomach organs back into her stomach cavity and then patched the hole with her diaphragm to keep everything separate. And she was on ECMO, the heart and lung bypass, within 4 hours of being born. And so the next morning, she was scheduled for her repair surgery. And so I was trying, I think they had it at like 10 o'clock or something, right? So I'm trying to talk to my nurses about like, hey, I need to get like out of here and go see my kid. Because to my knowledge, she's still alive. And there's very much the chance that after this surgery, she will not be alive. And so I would like to see my kid breathe once,
Yeah.
And so the operating room had changed the surgery to like 8 o'clock. And at 7 o'clock, a shift change. And so basically there was this big kerfuffle about that I couldn't go down there. And I was desperate. I was crying. I was like, I will literally pull this IV out and I will crawl on my hands and knees. Like, I don't need your permission. I would like some help getting to where I need to go. But I'm
seeing my daughter
going. And I don't care if my ovaries fall out on the floor. Like, you're gonna have to deal with it later. And so it's just looking bad, right? Like, it's looking bad. And with shift change, the nurse that was coming on had caught wind of what was going on. She came in and she talked to me. She's like, now, what's the deal? So I kind of like told her about what was going on and that, you know, my kid was going to have surgery and that I haven't seen her yet. And she goes, okay, I'm going to go talk to your nurse. And she went out in the door and I heard her screaming at this woman. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I don't care if you have to stay here an extra 4 hours. I don't care that it's shift change. You find a way to get her down there right now. She is like, she needs to see her. But anyway,
I like her.
Forever grateful for that lady because she made it happen. Mm-hmm. So I went down. I got to see her before surgery, and she was just very bruised and swollen and the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just all the feelings, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So basically, and I know I'm like dragging on and on, but we stayed in the NICU for 6 months.
Was she on ECMO that whole time?
No. So here's the thing about ECMO. Typically when people are on ECMO, it's for like a week would be a pretty long stint on ECMO. She was on ECMO for 25 days. And so, now mind you, she was born on the 3rd of December. So 25 days puts us at the 28th. Mm-hmm. Well, on Christmas Day, I had a doctor say, hey, we need to try to get her off of ECMO. And so we're going to do that in the next day or two. Basically, if she comes off of it and she's able to, like, you know, hold her stats like with a ventilator, like, you know, it's not that she wasn't without anything. But yeah, it was either she comes off and continues to live or you'll hold your baby for the first and last time. Right? Like Christmas Day.
Merry Christmas.
I called Josh and I'm like, hi. Because like the first week or so, we were allowed to go in together because she was the sickest baby in the hospital and it was like very dicey. Mm-hmm. And so they made an exception and let us both be bedside. But because it was COVID, after that like initial week, when she stabilized, which is
was more
she was not stable, but yeah. Then only one parent was allowed bedside at a time. Mm-hmm. So not only are like we having to go through this, right? But it's like we're having to do it individually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Gosh.
And then we're having to play like telephone with what the doctors are saying. Mm-hmm. So Josh is just beside himself because he's like, that is so inappropriate. That guy totally ruined our Christmas. And like, I'm like, well, Josh, like, yes. And he's like, no,
being a doctor, stupid. I guess.
Yeah, he could have waited until the next day, like on Christmas. Yeah, so Christmas Day, that was super scary. It turns out that the balloon that we got in that fetal procedure actually put a hole. And so...
And you didn't find that out until after you had her?
Okay. Correct. Mm-hmm. So they were doing a bronchoscopy to try to see, like, if she was ready to be intubated, whatever. Mm-hmm. So it was actually really cool because the team was like, hey, we can't take her off of ECMO because we need to fix this hole and, like, she won't be able to breathe with this hole. But we can't give her surgery because she's on ECMO and, like, the blood is thinned to go through the whole circuit machine thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in a catch-22. Basically, the idea was like a stent for a heart. We're going to put a stent in there to see if we can cover up the hole and see if it will heal. And we've never done this before, but that's the best we got. I was like, sweet.
Yeah.
So that actually ended up working. And when she got that covered, then she was able to come off of ECMO. We did not talk the entire weekend that we were waiting for them to try to get her off of ECMO because we were both terrified. And anyways, so she did that. She was great. And then eventually she like got into general population and wasn't the sickest baby in the hospital. She had heart surgery at 2 months old. She had a trach and a G-tube placed at 3 months old. And then, you know, just chest tubes and bronchoscopies and all the whole thing. So
were you in Texas this entire time? Okay.
Yep. So, and Josh actually lost his job while we were there.
Because of how long you were there for?
Yep. Gosh, they had told him that he had 6 months. Yeah. 6 months of leave that he could take, but they didn't tell him it couldn't be consecutive. So, yeah, that was another one where we're like, well, we'll just
it is what it is.
Figure that out. Yeah, so we stayed there for, like I said, 6 months. We came home in May, which is my birthday month. So I felt
May
like
28th.
Yeah. I felt like that was a really cool birthday present to me. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Josh and I recently looked up how much the whole NICU bill was.
Yeah, I'm
Would
really
you like
curious.
to guess today?
Oh my gosh. I don't even know where to start with that guess. I'm like hundreds of thousands is where my head is, but even the range of that, I'm like, no idea. More than hundreds of thousands? Was it like $1 million? No way. Like 1.5?
$4.6 million. Yeah.
And what was your insurance situation?
So luckily we had gotten onto Medicaid because my husband lost his job. So the first, like, when we first got there, even just paying the 80/20, like we did a GoFundMe and spent like I think we got $15,000 for the GoFundMe.
That's
and
awesome.
We spent all in medical bills.
Of course, yeah.
It was crazy. So yeah, I'm also a really big advocate for universal health care because of the situation.
Because of that, yeah.
Yeah.
Understandably so.
And then basically we came home, you know, adjusting to real life after that was really hard. But fortunately, as soon as we got the diagnosis, we got into counseling and we followed up with the same counselor. And we just recently transferred to a different counselor for different reasons. But we had stayed with her that whole time. And so I think that really
think about
helped.
That. Yeah. That was really smart to do that.
Yeah, especially because like when you look into the statistics about couples making it through stuff like this, like it virtually doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's like one of the things I wondered was like yours and Josh's relationship. Like, did you feel like it struggled? Do you feel like it brought you together? Like, what would you say?
Well, what's really interesting is throughout my pregnancy and throughout this whole process, somehow, and I don't even know how to explain how different Josh and I are just as people in general. I'm very boisterous. He's very shy. Like, we couldn't just be more opposite. But it was like through the whole process, we were on the same page without even having to like talk about it necessarily.
That's really nice.
Yeah, so that was really cool. And then coming home though, it was like uh, just so, it was a weird strain on our relationship because I have learned, like in my therapy, that I'm a control freak. And so I was seeking to feel like I was in control of something. And so that looked like if the house wasn't cleaned up or if he didn't put her medications back where they were supposed to go. And like, granted, we both got diagnosed with ADHD in our 30s. But at this point, neither of us had been diagnosed. And so it was just like, I felt like I had to, like I was forced into, like, you know, when little kids like miss out on their childhood because they had something traumatic happen to them and they just have to grow up so quickly.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of felt like that's what happened to me is I was like not only pushed into a mother role, but like you have to keep this child alive. Yeah. And so my easygoing nature like vanished overnight. So that's taken Josh and I, and we're still working on it, but it definitely changed our relationship in terms of like everything, you know, and I think children do that. And I think it just was exacerbated by the fact that we have this child where I think every parent worries about their kid dying, right?
Yeah, I
But
do.
like to see your kid fight for their life, it's just different, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then the last thing I just kind of wanted to touch on was kind of like what this is kind of led me to now. Just with our last couple minutes. So, Lilith is going to be 5 in December. She's absolutely incredible. She has this just pleasant disposition that I really feel like is such a big part of how she's gotten through what she's gotten through. Is like, yeah, she's angry when she's angry, and then like she moves on, and then it's like on to the next thing. And so she actually got to meet Miss Rachel for her Make-A-Wish,
which is so cool, so fun.
So cool. And I cannot say enough good things about Rachel and Aaron. They are just incredible people. And so kind of in that same, I don't know, like Miss Rachel really inspires me because childhood development is something that I'm really passionate about and like super geek out over. So I got my bachelor's degree in psychology. But because my kid needs care, I can't work so that she continues to qualify for that aid. And so I have been spending my time just being kind of more politically active and not in like a, I don't know, not in like a I'm right, you're wrong kind of way, but like in an awareness kind of way of, I'm with a group called Mother Forward, and they're trying to get paid family leave and accessible, affordable, and quality childcare like written into law so that that's like something that we're guaranteed. Because yeah, when we support our families, like that's the basis, right? And I think that this has given me a unique perspective to be able to kind of like share our story and share how these kind of things have affected us. And so, you know, we talked a little bit about women's reproductive rights and about, you know, just universal health care and like Josh losing his job when his kid's in the NICU. And so it's just really inspired me to kind of like speak to that in a much more like, hey, this is like a real situation, you know? And then I think the last kind of thing is as soon as Lilith gets into school full time, we just got a NICU here in Idaho Falls at Ermac. And so I want to go and volunteer my time as a baby snuggler because I'm like, I don't think a lot of people can stomach seeing sick babies, right? But it's like,
you've got
I've seen
that.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know just having a baby in the NICU whose parents are working or whatever the case is, just having that little bit of extra love and just that touch and that contact is something that I just, I'm like, well, if I can't work, then I'm going to fill my time doing stuff that matters.
Yeah, I think it's really beautiful that you're like taking this experience and trying to make positive like change and movement and find ways to help other people. And yeah, even like going into the NICU, I'm like, that's beautiful. And not a lot of other people that haven't had an experience like that would think of like how important that is to be able to go and do that.
Yeah.
So I really like that, Heidi. I think that's really cool.
Thank you.
And I did she just get her trach out? Did you post that recently? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
She
yeah.
did. And it's already like closing up.
Oh, wow.
And so as soon as it's all healed, she's going to get in for swimming lessons, which is like the only way that I talked her even into being okay with it. So
that's cool. Yeah, like such a different change that you're going to have with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that why you have that?
Weird because
no. Yeah. I think that's really cute. She has a heart tattoo right where like the trach would be. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. And it hurt like the dickens.
Oh, I'm sure.
So
yeah. The very like
reason to get a neck tattoo, don't do it.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
I was going to do it like really small and petite and cute. And then my tattoo artist showed me the design and I was like, that's so cool. She's like, I think it needs to be a little bigger. I was like, yeah. And then she started and I was like, ouch. I've made a terrible error.
There's no backing out though. You can't be like, actually, never mind. Like you got to keep going. Yep.
Well, thank you so much for interviewing me and taking the time. And I'm sorry. I tried to.
No, I like didn't even realize like it felt really fast. Like it did not feel that way at all. Like I was very invested in all of it. And I just think that you're really strong. It's not like you chose that, obviously, but like you said, women and mothers are just such strong people, and you really are. So I admire you. And you'll have to send me pictures if you don't mind me like posting any, but I would love to post some pictures. So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. She's all over my social media too. So
I could go just grab some.
Yeah. And I made a choice about that, right? Because I do understand when people don't post their kids, but I think for me, it's more about visibility and about
awareness.
And so with that kind of in mind, that's just kind of how I made that decision of, I think that it's really important that people kind of see this and, maybe if they run into a kid that looks like mine, they're not as weirded out or something. But, and then I was just going to say with you saying, I get it all the time, how people are like, I don't know how you have done this. And I don't, like, you're so amazing. And I think that, it's just funny because anyone in my situation, who loved their kid, I feel like would do the same thing.
Yeah, I agree.
And you just find it within yourself. And you'd be really surprised what you can handle.
Yeah.
And
you're right.
so, yeah, I just always have to laugh because, you know, like I was talking about, I am an imposter for sure when it comes to being an adult. And so I'm like, I know it seems exceptional, but in the day to day, she's my kid and I love her and that's what I got to do for her. So it doesn't.
Just like any other mother.
Yep. There's moments of grief, but everyone has that.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I am just so proud of you because I think this is so cool. And
thank you.
I have been binging your podcast and I freaking love it.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think it's so cool to focus on just like human stories. Like, man, that's like, I'm a psychology nerd. I'm so into that. So into it. So
me too.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks,
you have
Mandy.
a great day.
You too. See ya.
Okay, bye. Isn't she incredible? I know she said any mother and person would have done the same thing and gone through it and just been strong because we all do what we need to do. But I still think she's really incredible. I did want to add a couple of things. Heidi reached out to me after we recorded with some things that she had forgotten to mention in the interview. And so I told her I, of course, would let everybody know. So she forgot to mention that Lilith had a less than 15% survival rate, which that would have been so scary to hear that. And the feto procedure that she had done could have taken that up to 30% if it had worked, but it did not work. Grateful that Lilith defied those odds and is here today. And then she said she also did find out that she has a rare genetic mutation that is responsible for her conditions. And so she has a 50% chance of having another kid with similar or worse conditions. And so because IVF is real expensive, Lilith is probably the only child that they will have, which, as you remember from the beginning of the episode, she talked about how being a mother was the one thing that she always knew she wanted to be. And so obviously that is hard to cope with. She said they may adopt, but she does wish that they could experience a normal pregnancy and birth, which I feel like makes total sense. So I'm definitely rooting for them, and made me really happy to hear how well Lilith is doing, that she had her trach removed and she got to meet Miss Rachel, which obviously is cool. So I loved hearing that. And I will have pictures on the Instagram of Heidi and Lilith. So go to my Instagram at Sippin' on Stories Podcast if you would like to see those. All right. Speaking of which, if you yourself have a story that you would like to share on the podcast, you can go to my Instagram page and find the highlight bubble that says submit a story. Click on the link there to do that. Or you can also just DM me if you know my personal phone number. Send me a message, or you can send me an email at sippinonstoriespodcast@gmail.com and I'll get back to you. Hope you have a great week, and I'll be here again for a new episode of the Sippin' on Stories podcast. Goodbye.